Hi, it's Dr. Janie Pendleton with my husband Dr. John Pendleton, and we are back with Maranatha Minutes, Genesis chapter 44. We're almost through Genesis. We want to thank you for coming along for the ride. We're excited. I got to put on my sunglasses because the sun out here today. I've got a scratched eye, and it's just, if you've ever scratched your eye with contact, you know how I feel. I just kind of burns. Okay, so Genesis chapter 44. And you get to be, who do you want to be today? Joseph?
Okay.
Or, yeah, be Joseph, okay. Now this is about the silver cup that he had in the sack. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of this house.
Fill them in sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver back into the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain.
And he did as Joseph said. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. They had not gone far from the city when Joseph said to his steward,
Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from, and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done.
When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to them. But they said to him, Why does my Lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, meaning any of his brothers or himself, then he will die, and the rest of us will become my Lord's slaves. Very well then, he said, let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame. Each of them quickly lowered his sack to the ground and opened it. Then the steward proceeded to search, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. At this, they tore their clothes in regret and anger, and back then they tore their clothes in agony. After what their father had already been through losing Jacob, they just were beside themselves. Then they all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves on the ground before him, just as Joseph had predicted back when he was still living at home before they sold him into slavery. He had predicted that day. It made them so mad and jealous that they would kneel before him. They would bow before them. They'd prostrate themselves down before him. And here they do just that, not knowing that he is their brother, because he's dressed like an Egyptian. He's Pharaoh's right hand. So now they're kneeling before the brother whom they turned into slavery that they don't even recognize as their brother. So they threw themselves to the ground before him. And Joseph said to them,
What is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find out things by divination?
Yeah, and let's discuss this just real quick. When he says by divination, he was still portraying himself to be an Egyptian and having idols and gods that could tell him what was going on. So he's still pretending to be the Egyptian. He doesn't want them to know that he's actually
Joseph,
their brother. He's testing them very harshly. What can we say to my lord? Judah replied. What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are now my lord's slaves. We ourselves and the one who has found to have had the cup. Now, the steward, he told them all that they'd be free. Only Benjamin, where the cup was found, would be the slave. But now Judah is bringing all the brothers in, and they've all said that they would be slaves together, because he made a promise to his father that he would bring Benjamin back or they would all perish. He was determined this time to, he obviously had changed his ways.
Yeah, it definitely showed a change in character.
Judah was the one that got rid of him in the...
Reuben.
Yeah, Reuben.
Or Reuben
tried to save him,
yeah.
But Judah's the one that sold him into slavery, wanted him dead, was jealous. But Joseph said,
"Far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the man who was found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you, go back to your father in peace."
Then Judah went up to him and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord. Let me speak a word to my lord, please. Do not be angry with your servant. Though you are equal to Pharaoh himself," he's comparing his brother, whom he doesn't know his brother, Pharaoh's right hand, to be like Pharaoh. He thinks he's very much Egyptian. "My lord asked his servants, 'Do you have a father or a brother?' And we answered, 'We have an aged father, and there is a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's son left, and his father loves him.'" So this means that Joseph's finding out that Benjamin is the son of his real mother. So he has a full-blooded brother through Rachel. And Jacob is his little brother. Imagine finding out that you have another blooded brother from your mother, the only other one. Imagine finding that out after years of slavery and after what they did to you. You'd almost be concerned for your little brother because what they might do to him. So now he's going to have to really test them and protect his brother now. His brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, "Bring him down to me, so I can see him for myself." And we said to my lord, "The boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will surely die of heartache." But you told your servants, "Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again." When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him what my lord had said. Then our father said, "Go back and buy more food." But we said, "We cannot go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us shall we go. We cannot see the man's face unless our younger brother is with us, as you had demanded." Your servant my lord said to us, "You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me." That was Joseph he's talking about, that went away and died. Because they brought his coat, his beautiful coat his father had made him personally, and covered it in blood and said he'd probably been eaten by the tigers or the lions or whatever beasts were out there amongst the sheep. So he thought he was dead. The brothers knew different because they sold him into slavery. So they're still not being fully honest, are they?
No.
"You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me and I said, 'He has surely been torn to pieces by an animal, and I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in misery.' So now, if the boy is not with us when I go back to your servant my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Our father will die. Your servants will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. Your servant guaranteed the boy's safety to my father. I said, if I don't bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you, my father, all my life. Now then, please let your servant remain here as my lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers." Let him return back to Jacob. He was exchanging himself. Once he sold a brother into slavery, and now he's selling himself into slavery to save his brother, the other brother. Sounds like he might have learned a lesson. "How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No. Do not let me see the misery that would come on my father." chapter 45, which is, we're going to continue that here in just a minute. So, how do you feel about this?
Well, in reference to Jacob sent Joseph to find his brothers, and his brothers were in the habit of not taking care of business. And Jacob wanted to find out if that what was going on with his brothers. When Joseph caught up with his brothers, as you remember, his brothers conspired, and Reuben decided to save him. But by the time Reuben got around to getting back to where they'd put him, they'd already sold him into slavery.
Now Reuben couldn't.
The
But
ruse.
he's still alive though.
The brothers never did confront their father personally, but they sent back Joseph's coat of many colors stained in blood. And the father assumed, and they let him assume, that he was dead.
He was eaten by an animal.
And he was eaten by an
Ripped
animal
apart.
and ripped apart. And the only thing left was the remnants of his coat. And here we have definitely a change of character of the brothers.
Yeah.
And
now they're willing to put themselves into slavery in exchange for the brother's life. See, remember back then there would have been jealousies, because we remember Jacob was very fond of Rachel, even though he was forced by trickery and deceit to marry Leah, and he had sons with Leah. These would have been the sons of Leah and maybe the concubines, but because they all had him sleep with the servants to give him more sons. It was a contest who could give him the most sons and make the family largest. Well, Rachel, the love of his life, the one he worked the extra years for, and he finally got Rachel. It was all and all a ruse and all trickery and all the deceit. The Bible is a revelation. God, I'm going to say this again. God doesn't reward the deceit. He doesn't reward our sins. He rewards us for our faith and staying in faith. And that's when he makes good out of the bad. In every story of the Bible, God makes good out of the bad. If there's a famine, he's helped Joseph come to light. In the beginning, Joseph was having dreams. He knew, maybe not how he was going to get there, but he knew that he was going to be a pillar to the community. And it ended up that they sold him into slavery. He made his way through the ranks up to Pharaoh and became Pharaoh's right hand. And even Pharaoh put him above himself. He entrusted him with all the land and all the people, and trusted him to get his people through a famine.
yes.
And in doing so, Joseph got to meet his family again. And now they're bowing before a brother, and his dream came true.
Yeah, he actually had two dreams, and the next one we'll see the fulfillment of that here
Yeah,
soon.
but we weren't there yet, so
No.
we're not there yet. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back after this message. Blessings.
Blessings.